I think meeting planners get the most for their money when they do a couple of things. One is what happens before the meeting. The other thing is what happens afterwards. Before the meeting, the more information you can give me, the more I can customize. I'm really proud that I customize every presentation, but I can only customize based upon the depth of information I'm provided by the meeting planner and people with your company prior to the program. So the more you can put me in touch with, the people in the field or the people who are doing what the folks do that are going to be at the meeting, the greater the likelihood I can be pretty close to what you want in terms of the message that's delivered. But then the other thing is to let me be your partner after the meeting. For the investment that meeting planners make in speakers, whether it's myself or whoever, you need to be expecting more than just an hour on the platform. And so what we do after the meeting is to provide, the specialized handouts, the visuals that I use during the presentation. We make it possible that you can download podcasts and video and all of the things that continue to make touch points with those meeting participants after the program is over. So by helping us do that part of our job, it extends the content that I deliver from the platform long after the meeting's ended. Many meetings are looking the same, and one of the things I think that today's audience wants is interactivity. Now obviously if you're giving a keynote in front of 2,000 people, it's hard to break everybody into groups and have interaction with that size of audience. One of the cool things I see is I'll do the presentation for 60 or 75 minutes, and then they go into breakout sessions of small groups that will break down the message, but not only say, okay, what did Scott say that we can take home, but specifically what are we going to do? How do we change our behavior when we get back home to create more compelling experiences for customers, to drive customer loyalty, to service internal customers better as well as external customers. And by focusing on specific activities that they can take, then all of a sudden you've taken a 60-minute keynote where at most meetings what happens next? Well, somebody gives a report or they have another speaker or they go to lunch or whatever. By doing those breakout sessions afterwards, and I'm happy to be involved in those if the meeting planner desires, then we start focusing on the specific activities that they can do that's going to make a difference. Working on a new book. It's going to be released either the end of this year or first of next year, and it's called The Collapse of Distinction, How to Differentiate Yourself in Your Organization. Because one of the things that's changed, we've seen other great books that talked about this, Fast Food Nation being one, that there is a homogenization that's going on in our country. Every town seems the same, every community, every suburb seems the same. But what customers are saying is every business seems the same. The problem is most businesses think that the way that they're going to differentiate is to come up with the next iPod or be the next Starbucks, and those examples have been so overused. What we found in our research is what organizations and individuals can do to differentiate themselves either within the structure of their business where they work or to their customer is to find specific points of differentiation. It means that you do one thing that's so different and so compelling that it makes a difference in everything else. Roger Ebert, the famed movie reviewer, and I were having a conversation one time, and he asked me how many movies I saw a week. I said about one. He said, so you've probably wondered why do movies, the foreign films and all that why do they always get such great reviews? Roger said they see 1 to 2 movies a day. And when you see that much stuff, what happens is anything that's different is perceived to be better. Doesn't mean that it is. It just means that because it is different, when you're overwhelmed with similarity, the minor things of differentiation seem to be better. That's what we're seeing in our culture now. Doesn't matter whether it's better or not. If it's different, the perception is it must be better because it's different. And so what we're trying to do is to show folks that the main way you're going to create that is through a compelling customer experience and differentiating that from your competition. My rural home community asked me to come back and speak to the teachers, and I'm very nervous because one of my old teachers is in the audience, and I asked the question nervously to start my speech, what's the biggest problem in education? I thought I knew the answer. They were going to say funding for the programs and discipline of the kids, and my 3rd grade teacher said the single biggest problem in education is Sesame Street. And I was dumbfounded, and she said, well, Scott, who taught you your ABCs? Well, she knew. It was my mother, my grandmother. She said, for the last 30, 40 years, young people have been taught their ABCs by Big Bird and Bert and Ernie. And therefore, they arrive on the schoolyard step expecting to be entertained as they are educated. Now, fast forward 30 years of this, and Nielsen Media Research is talking about the average television set is on over 8 hours a day. The average individual views over 2 hours a day of television every single day. I don't care how good a corporate training department is, you're never going to be able to overcome that overwhelming inundation to the kinds of things that are happening in the media. So what we have to be able to do is to package our messages to customers and employees in a different and more compelling manner. And it wasn't just the treatment was sloppy, it wasn't just that they didn't execute, it was rude. And the amazing thing to me is, I have this card that says I fly 100,000 miles a year with you folks. If you can't be nice to your best customer, you know, what are the poor folks that go on vacation one time a year experiencing? But organizations have this fundamental problem, that how do you train people to deliver an experience that they themselves have not received? If you're working at Ritz-Carlton, then by very nature, you're probably not spending too many nights there. And so how do you train people to give a experience that they themselves have not experienced? And I think that's one of the challenges with the airlines, is that, boy, travel is just a mess. And you have people that, you know, a buddy of mine works for one of the airlines, and I'm not going to say which one, but, you know, we're united in our disgust of, of what's happening. And it's just unbelievable, because he talks about the people that are being hired are people, you know, you get paid more at Target than you do at United. And I don't want to think that the person that's working on my plane, that was their career choice. You know, I'm either, well, Target pays more, but I think I'm going to go here because I get free flights. It's scary to me what's happening out there. And one of the things that I think that meeting planners have to understand now is that your folks show up having been treated rudely, having had hassles to get to your meeting to begin with, and that's one of the reasons that you have to look at how do you kick off a meeting, whether it's the incredible video the leading authorities does, or by bringing in a kickoff speaker to set the tone for the meeting, because now more than ever before, people start the meeting hassled. The purpose of any business is to profitably create experiences that are so compelling to customers that their loyalty is assured. If we are profitably keeping the customers that we have and then growing that base, there's no way that our business can't help but grow. But the problem is, I mean, Butler University did a study asking 250 CEOs what kept them awake at night, which I think is a great question. What keeps you awake at night? Number one on the list, customer retention. Number two, customer growth. Well, if we are creating experiences that are so compelling to customers, they can't imagine going anyplace else, while at the same time, that encourages them to advocate who we are and what we do to their friends, that's a formula that cannot and will not lose.